Hello and welcome to the Josh and Tyler Show. I'm Josh, this is Tyler. We're drinking Pepsi. What's up? Today, we're talking movies. You like movies, right? just a question.
Yeah, but it's the way you asked me that. It just...
I don't know, that just sort of just happened.
No, I don't like movies. I'm just doing this out of emotional support and the fact that I just need something to get out of my fucking house.
Well, today...
I mean, I love movies. It's what I live for.
You've got a bunch of reviews up there. Check out Tyler Wolf on YouTube there. Today, we... fill me up, man. Fill me up.
All right.
There we go. Today, we are talking about great scenes from bad movies. This is a really hard list. I was talking about this in the car as I picked you up, and I was like, man, there are like so many terrible movies that I like that I consider good.
Yeah, which is kind of the tricky thing with this one. When you look up any great scenes from bad movie lists on the internet, they're all the fucking same.
Like, look, Dunkachino.
Or, what?
Al Pacino, Dunkachino from Jack and Jill. That's like the biggest example, I would say.
That is one example. One that's not on my list, and I doubt is going to be on yours, is the POV long take sequence from Doom.
I freaking love Doom. That's a good movie.
Whatever.
Doom is awesome.
But yeah, like everyone gushes over that one scene that's supposed to look like the video game because apparently it's the only scene in the movie that actually resembles the game.
Obviously, it's not like the game, but you know what Doom does? It tries to tell you an actual story, which is, great.
I wouldn't know. I mean, yeah, obviously that part is great. And from what I understand, it's why people enjoy, stuff like the Alicia Vikander Tomb Raider, or even last year with Sonic, considering...
The Sonic was fun.
Yeah.
That was a fun little movie. I will say the Alicia Vikander Tomb Raider is a complete repeat of the first two games. They just took all the plot elements they like and shoved them together, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It
definitely helps.
It feels like it could be better.
It definitely helps having an Oscar winner who actually deserved her Oscar to play Laura.
Yes.
I've never seen Girl Interrupted, so that insult might have been completely worthless.
But yeah, I've got some honorable mentions. These are ones that I just love so much. Don't you worry about my list. Don't you worry about this over here.
Those are the mentions.
Those are my mentions.
Those are good ones, but I'd love to hear your explanation.
Deep Blue Sea. I love Deep Blue Sea. I don't think it's a bad film. I think it's a fun film. And LL Cool J lures his shark into an oven and then turns on the gas and blows it up. That's the same movie where Morgan Freeman gets eaten by a shark, but this scene...
That's Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah, anyway. But LL Cool J with an oven versus a shark in this terrible disaster film just made me laugh so hard. And then at the end of it, LL Cool J's like, the Deep Blue Sea. He was trying to do the Will Smith thing in the 90s. But I really did like the oven being murdered by the shark. You got any honorable mentions, Tyler?
Honestly, there's only one honorable mention, and weirdly enough, it's from a movie that I did put on this list. Mostly just because there were two specific scenes that I enjoyed that I wanted to put on there. It's from Scary Movie 2, where you have David Cross as Tim Curry's assistant, and everyone kind of, sort of patronizes him by the fact that he's in a wheelchair, even though he tries to do the I can do it myself bit, and does a lot of really awkward double entendres where it's just like, I'm standing up for what I believe in, and I'm just like, yeah, next thing you know, you'll be putting your foot down. And I am putting my foot down on this. I'm just like, really? But there's that great scene. There is that great scene where he's arguing with the butler who has the crippled hand. Sorry, I don't know what the other term is. Forgive me on that one. But in any case, when a conversation comes up, Cross just goes, okay, thanks, handyman. I'm actually the caretaker. Oh, aren't those cool new skates? Now, you be careful with those. You don't want to fall and break something. Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Is it Scary Movie 3 that has Leslie Nielsen peeing on aliens? I can't remember.
Yeah, that was the third one.
That one, I laughed only because of Leslie Nielsen.
There were moments that I liked more than Scary Movie 2. In fact, I'll get more into that, but it's just like, oh, that's funny. That's funny. Let me give you a hand. Well, that's awfully kind of you. How about you give me a standing ovation? Why don't you lift me up? Oh, I see where this is going. You look familiar to me. Were you in Stomp? You can kiss my grits. I think I'll be the bigger man now and walk away. Walk away. And I just sat there and I went, this is so dirty. This is so foul, but damn, they take the easy jokes and through the delivery of it all, it just works. And it definitely helps that the two of them are acknowledging that they're not really going through the shit that they're talking about. Just a little bit of self-awareness as in regards to, we're here to make jokes, calm the fuck down.
I mean, I really could have put something from Not Another Teen Movie on this list, because I really enjoyed that movie despite being terrible.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I will also say that Motel Hell has a great scene.
I don't think I know that one.
It's a terrible movie. The point is, these are bad movies. It's literally a man who makes sausage out of a head farm and puts terrible sheep on the road with bear traps. That's the picture.
Okay.
And then he puts on a pig mask and fights people with chainsaws. But the opening's really good. The opening's like solid. You see the characters, you get introduced to them, you get like a minute of them chatting. And then, like, they walk out, and the person's like, oh, this sampler is great. He's like, come back for more sausage anytime, but you know what's in that sausage. But, like, the opening is so well done. Like, it's just, he has a fancy box, and it's, like, organized, and the way they shoot it, and the sound, and the editing. And you feel like you know the character, and you're like, well, this guy's doing something wrong with that sausage. You want to eat that. And I will also, it wouldn't be a video without a Sleepaway Camp reference.
See, I've seen the movie, and looking at your notes,
number
I can't tell what you're talking about.
So in number 2, there's 2 characters that they call the Shit Sisters. And they do drugs all the time, and they're constantly high. So Angela, in her infinite wisdom, ties them to a barbecue, lights them on fire, and says, don't do drugs, stay in school. It's so cool. But the rest of the movie's terrible.
I'm sure Nancy Reagan is cheering in the afterlife for that one.
But yeah, that one was, and like, they have the one sister, like, already, they have a burnt skeleton, obviously, and she's like, do you want to end up like your sister? So dumb.
See, if that was an anti-drug PSA, I would love that. Not the stupid, like, this egg is your brain.
And then I've got one more. I love Johnny Mnemonic.
Is that the Keanu Reeves one? Okay.
At one point, he gets frustrated because he's doing his thing and he's running around and he's trying to figure out what's going on. It's very similar to the Matrix in Conception. But he starts yelling and screaming. He's like, I want room service! And he just loses it. He's like, I want this and I want this and I want my life back. And it's like a really good, genuine scene with like sort of a Nicolas Cage outbreak in it. But the rest of the movie is just sort of like really like, it looks like an in between MTV ad from the 90s. They're like, look, there's screens with talking heads.
Yeah, Talking Heads have a couple good songs.
They are burning down the house. So bring us in at the number 6, Tyler, here.
Actually, I've only got 5.
Oh, 5 it is. Then I will do...
Sorry to...
No, I'm good. 5 is good. 5 is good.
We're off to a great start here.
Oh, this is a very organized video.
Okay, so my number 5 is actually from a clip that you and one of your friends suggested to me during one of our after-show topics.
Okay.
Unlike you, I've never been that big of a Kevin Smith fan. Like, obviously, I appreciate...
That's not a bad movie.
I agree. Let's agree to disagree on that one. But
see what that movie is.
Look, I can appreciate the no-budget work that he did for Clerks. I mean, the things that he had to do, the debts he had to overcome. Yes, it is.
There you go.
Look, I can appreciate his ingenuity as a low-budget filmmaker, and I actually like his overall personality. He was on one of the recent Celebrity Family Feud episodes. And apparently, like, dude's a big fan of the show. He used to watch it with his grandma all the time. And he had one of the best steals ever. The question was, name a favor a friend would ask and you would say no. And I feel bad saying this, given the circumstances that we were in, but Kevin Smith just blurts out, sleep with my wife. And Jennifer was on the panel, was, like, two down from him.
Oh, boy.
Looks at Steve Harvey and goes, I mean, like, unless you're asking. And Jennifer goes, I'm standing right here. And it turns out it was up there. They stole the points. You should have seen the look on Jay Muse's face. He was so happy, especially when they flipped over.
Did they have Harley with them?
No, they didn't. It was him, Jason, Jennifer, and a couple of their Smodcast collaborators. Okay. The other one that they would have gotten anyways was murder someone. Jay Muse is like, yeah, we got that.
Was Mark Bernard in there? Because he does the Fat Man podcast with him.
I'm going to have to look that up once this is done. But grand scheme of things, like his overall personality, like when he interviews actors, it's just his sense of humor is too lowbrow for me. And when he suggested a clip from this, I could not believe that it was him of all people who would send me this, because
it's so good.
This is the kind of clip that you would only expect Tarantino or maybe even the guys from the Boondocks to get away with. It's a scene from Clerks 2 where, how do I put this? There's no good way of describing what I am about to say.
Yes.
So anyways, the place they work at is not a convenience store anymore. It's a restaurant. But at one point, Randall is complaining about people who are making fun of his outfit, and it gets to a certain point where he casually blurts out a racial slur that it never occurred to him that it actually was.
You know, maybe my grandmother was racist.
Given the fact that his grandma used to call him that, which makes it really wonder. He's even more fucked up than we thought it would be. While Wanda Sykes and her husband are literally the front people at the line, and his boss, Rosario Dawson, are all just looking at him, could not believe how upfront he was about it. And of course, Wanda Sykes is just like, I want my money back. Okay, here's your money. You can have the food on us. Oh no, I'm not eating anything from him. But her husband's like, maybe you can eat racism. And she just smacks the food out of his hands, walks off, and he just looks at them and goes, come on, man.
mean, if you've seen the finale to this movie, this is the least of your worries.
It's just, I know people, look, weirdly enough, this is not the scene people complain about when they think about Clerks 2. They think about the scene with the donkey.
Yep, that's the thing.
And I just sat there, I'm like, yeah, but here's the thing. People expect that from Kevin Smith already. I mean, in the first Clerks...
People expect donkey
They
stuff?
expect that stuff that's that low brow. I mean, in the first movie, did someone not, like, fuck a corpse at one point?
No, they did steal a corpse, though.
I swear to God, I read somewhere that corpse got fucked.
Well, they died mid-act.
Close enough for me. Like, it's on the same level of stupidity. No one expects him to go racial, especially considering that I don't even know any other actors who would even want to sign on for a scene like this. But it gets even better when Dante and the boss confront him in public. Like, what are you talking about? And they're just like, well, since when was this a racial slur? Since forever. No, it's not. Is a racial slur. And the fact that he doesn't even... the fact that he is so low-key in his delivery compared to the two of them who are just full-on in rage mode, and their delivery of the rage is just fucking perfect.
But I like the commentary on the system.
Yeah, the commentary is...
Such good commentary.
The commentary is so great. The two of them are completely justified in how angry they are, and they're obviously the right ones in the conversation, but at the same time, considering Dante knows these are racial slurs, as he's just like, what are you talking about? This is a racial slur. That's a racial slur. And they're just like, shut the fuck up already. Dude knows they're bad, and because he's not technically saying them in the context that they were meant for, it raises certain questions that nobody likes to ask, especially considering we as the audience and them as characters, they don't change their minds on any of that. Their opinions stay 100% concrete. And the more I think about it, that's probably what Kevin Smith was going for. Because I can't say that he's the same person now as he was back then, because if you've heard, if you've seen how he's dealt with the Masters of the Universe outrage, which is
I don't know anything about Masters of the Universe. So
yeah, he made a
Masters.
He made a He-Man reboot.
Okay, good for him.
He killed He-Man in the first episode.
I mean, there's The Last of Us too, so.
Among a variety of things, like, he has dealt with the fan outrage so poorly, blamed it on the toxic ones, of course.
Hey, I don't really watch a lot of cartoons at the end.
Me neither, and like, I've never been a He-Man guy just because the stuff that's cheesy about it, it's just too much for me, but...
I will counter and say this is a very good film. I think this might be Kevin Smith's best film. Because it takes the elements from Clerks, the conversational humor, but then it has more of a story, and it has very enduring characters. And at this point where, I mean, as much as people want to say they love Mallrats or Chasing Amy, both very, very good films, Mallrats is very silly, and this sort of evolves the Mallrats formula of the two losers doing a thing, and they end up completing that task. And I love the supporting characters in it, and the customers that come in. I mean, you got Holden McNeil coming in, Ben Affleck, the comic book writer, and he pops up.
Of course.
You got all the reoccurring, and I just like the setting and the colorfulness of the restaurant as opposed to the dryness of the comedy. And I really do like Clerks too.
No, that's totally fair. Like I said, it just comes down to me not liking his sense of humor.
That's fair.
You know, I like the fact that his movies are as interconnected as a comic book. He kind of did the MCU before Kevin Feige did. As weird as that sounds.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to really talk connected before MCU, you're talking Romancing the Stone. War of the Roses and the other one. There's another one.
Wait, isn't War of the Roses that Michael Douglas movie?
Yeah, it's the third one. It's the third film. The first one's Romancing the Stone. Then there's the second one, which my brain is blanking on.
What?
War of Roses. Because it's the same
Michael
characters.
Douglas?
Yeah, Danny DeVito's character. It's over there somewhere.
Danny DeVito was in Romancing the Stone?
Yeah. He plays the sidekick. The sidekick archaeologist who's trying to con him or help him at points.
Okay.
Anyway, I like it.
No, trust me, I was expecting...
I would say that's more of the MCU thing than anything. I will jump in with my number 5. I love Lord of the Rings. I sort of like the Hobbit movies, but they're not good.
See, I've never watched them from beginning to end just because I've never been into Tolkien stuff. Like, as a kid, I was more into Narnia just because I had read one of the books. And, you know, I think it goes without saying, when Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe came out, we all just gushed over it.
I may have seen that a few times.
Remind me again what the official count is?
I think it's 12 or 11, 10, something like that. It's like,
fuck, that is insane. But go ahead.
Yeah, I just kept getting free passes. But anyway, so Lord of the Rings came out. Watched that. Loved that. Then Hobbit came out. I just sort of ignored it for a few years, and I'm like, you know, I got Lord of the Rings, whatever. I'm good. There's the 78 Hobbit, whatever. So,
oh yeah,
and you probably heard it. They stretched the book into all this. I just didn't feel like the character work was very strong in it. I feel like they have all this time, but you don't know the characters or their names. Obviously, names are hard in fantasy worlds, but you literally have 3 movies, 2.5 hours each, and you don't know much about the characters except what their weapon is and what they do. But there is a particularly beautiful scene at the beginning of the first one. I'd say the first one's probably the best.
Really?
Because it's the shortest. Originally in Lord of the Rings, Gandalf comes to the house and he's like, "We need you to do this," and then they all go on their journey. But in this case, he brings the party of dwarves who want to go to the mountain. Richard Armitage is excellent in this. And they like to eat. So all these dwarves come into Bilbo's house and eat every ounce of food he has. They literally just come in, they're like, "You wanted to join this party? Here you go. We're going to use your house as a home base for now." They eat everything, the cheeses, the beers, the wines, and Bilbo's just freaking out his mind. And the extended edition actually has a little more of the reaction stuff, and they're like, just sitting on his chairs that were his grandfather's, and it's this really, really charming scene to see the Hobbit, the dwarves adjust to the hobbits, and Gandalf just sit in the background and be like, "Yeah, this is it, I'm good." I think it's really charming, and I like it.
Yeah, that's fair. I did hear a lot of good stuff about Richard Armitage being a much better dwarf character, because not everybody likes Gimli since he was a little more cartoonish in the movies as opposed to the books, from my understanding.
I mean, I do like John Rhys Davies.
John Rhys Davies is a good actor. I got no problem with that.
He's Treebeard.
It's just that him too. It's just there are some moments from Gimli especially that just made me cringe.
You never throw a dwarf.
What?
When he says never throw a dwarf in the Two Towers when they're having the siege.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Well,
that wasn't one of them.
He's like, "Throw me."
No, it's stuff like him saying that dwarf women are often mistaken for men and how there might not actually be that many of them left, and all of a sudden he just, out of nowhere, his horse starts running away on him and he falls off, little shit like that, or him getting drunk off his ass, and then in the next scene all of a sudden he's just an utter badass, which don't get me wrong, he did have his badass moments that were pretty cool, especially Bridge of Castledon or something like that, where he discovers most of his men are killed and he just watches at that troll like he's full blown. It's just like, "Let them come nothing beats my axe in this one. And it's like, okay, good moment, no problem.
Yeah, I think the beginning of the Hobbit trilogy is like a little slow, but then there's that one like golden scene, and the rest is okay.
Yeah, totally.
I like that one scene. I'm like, that's a good scene. What do you got at your number 4?
Okay, so my number 4 is the one from Scary Movie 2 that I did put on this list. And funny thing, if you want an example, the perfect example of why parody movies are bad, I would say Scary Movie 2 would be the prime one. It, in my opinion, just shows how messy the formula is when it comes to shoving every random, outdated, as soon as it comes out, pop culture reference or just cheap, pointless, gross-out joke you can imagine, even though those bits are not connected at all. Like, if you were to reshuffle them from what they were in the theatrical release, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they wouldn't change the structure or the plot, if you could even really call them that. And that's one reason why they're not funny. The other reason is that just on their own, these bits, they don't get a laugh. In my opinion, like, the best moments in the Scary Movie franchise, and just about any parody movie in general, are ones that just operate as their own standalone skits, and for that reason,
Number 1.
The delivery is a lot more focused, the timing is a lot more perfect, and altogether, it just seems like the actors are enjoying it a hell of a lot more, as opposed to saying something stupid and trendy.
I'm not a huge fan of the Scary Movie franchise, but the What's Up bit is funny.
The What's Up bit
That
is
is
funny.
great. That's the best moment of the whole franchise.
It's one of the best moments, and the more I think about it, I probably should have put that on there.
I mean,
But
the amount of times I've been like, "What's up?" Like, just with my friends. It's just a thing we do.
But there's one that I quote a hell of a lot more often from the second one. It's where David Cross and Marlon Wayans come across this one parrot that's dressed in this tux, and it's all by itself. So everyone just thinks it's a cute little bird that comes with a mansion. And it's just like, hey, little guy, how are you doing? Fuck off, Four Eyes. Beg your pardon? I said, fuck off, Four Eyes. And of course, when Wayans comes, like, dude's just acting like his usual bird self, and it gets better when Wayans says it, because his delivery and just how committed he is to being this stoned out freak is perfect. Hi, little birdie. Polly, you want a cracker? Polly, want your mama's sweet ass? What did Polly say to me? I said, Polly, want your mama's sweet ass. You would talk about my mama, son? You don't know about my mama, son. Oh, I know your mama. I fucked her last night. You want beef? I'll fuck you up. Ooh, I'm shaking. No, fuck this. Hold my tooth, son. Hey, come on, bitch. You and that Welcome Back Cotter haircut? Want a piece of me? Come on, bring it on.
Welcome Back Cotter reference. Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
oh, my goodness.
exactly.
Who was on that show? That was John Travolta and someone else.
John Travolta, Ron Palillo.
I have to, like, jog my memory.
All I know is that John Travolta is the one who kept bringing those, like, calling in sick notes, but it's just, like, signed My Mother. Which...
It lasted 4 years. Wow, good for you, Welcome Back, Cotter.
Okay, I can see the haircut reference on that one. Oh, never mind. I know exactly who they're talking about.
Okay, my brain is like... It's contemplating this. I completely forgot this show existed until a minute ago.
They tried rebooting it with Ice Cube. I'm not even kidding.
You know what? If good writing, Ice Cube could make it work. You never know.
Well, yeah. I mean, he'd just be playing the 21 Jump Street captain, but hey, would anyone want anything differently? But yeah, just the fact that these two are so threatened by a fucking bird. The concept is so stupid, but because that bird is intelligent enough to literally chirp them on as often as they can, it's just funny on an absurdist level. And again, like, Marlon Wayans and David Cross are so committed in that scene that you just can't help but laugh at them alone for just how shocked, offended they are by a fucking bird.
And they like to make animals say and kids say expletives. That's a very easy joke to do.
It is incredibly
But it is
easy.
funny sometimes.
But it is proof that this stuff can work. Just not very often, because, well, if you've seen any of these movies, you know why.
I actually...
Go for it.
I did all 5 of them in a row one day. It just kept getting progressively worse and worse.
Well, yeah, because, like, that one time we read the Scary Movie 5 Rotten Tomatoes clips, I still watch that just because I can't believe I laughed that hard over it. When you said that Charlie Sheen and Lindsay Lohan steal the film, I rolled over. It was insane.
The film, there's not much to go on for that film. It's like they had a house and like $10,000 and Charlie Sheen and Lindsay Lohan, they said, We got a goat. Let's go.
Yeah, and Ashley Tisdale was in that for some reason.
And then Grown Ups 2 came along, and they're like, let's rip off the beginning of Scary Movie 5, because people like that.
Wait, what?
The beginning of Scary Movie 5 is they're in bed, and then a goat comes up.
Oh, with Adam Sandler, Selma Hayek, and the deer. Okay. Yeah, I mean...
They're like, oh,
that
yeah.
would have been in there even if Scary Movie 5 hadn't come out. I mean, come on.
Yeah, the one thing I want to rip off is Scary Movie 5. That's going to bring in the audience.
I literally only remember one line from that scene where Sandler looks at Hayek and, first of all, wonders why she's even married to him, because it's Selma Hayek.
That's fair. Adam Sandler is an idiot.
But Sandler goes, I think your mother's here, and she's not thrilled. And I just sat there and went... Yeah, that's probably the one realistic joke in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
That and Stone Cold actually being scared of Adam Sandler.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Republicans, the favors they do for each other, right?
Well, I'm going to jump right into, and I know this is another Clerk situation. I'm not a big Will Ferrell guy.
That's fair.
I'm just not. I like Holmes and Watson. Y'all can sue me, whatever. I like it. I enjoyed him in Wedding Crashers. I thought he was really fun in that as a funeral crasher. I think he's fun in bit parts. But, like, overall, as a whole, I don't like his straight-up comedies. But in the other guys, there is an opening, and I'm sure y'all have seen it, where they're chasing around, driving through the city, and they go in slow motion. You have the right to remain silent, but I want to hear you scream. And then they jump off the building, and they aim for the bushes.
For further context, he's talking about, like, the initial heroes.
Samuel L. Jackson and The Rock. And it's just...
Yeah.
It's the most literally over-the-top absurd thing. I feel like the entire budget of the film went to more of that than the rest of the film.
I think some of it also went for, like, the 5 seconds of Ferrell and Wahlberg being bribed with Jersey Boy tickets. Because, like, when Steve Coogan keeps bribing them over and over again, which, you gotta admit, that part was pretty decent, too.
I like Steve Coogan.
Oh,
He's
boy.
a fun dude.
Oh, you're back. How was Jersey Boys? You lied about how good it was. It was so much better.
I mean, like, there's some decent stuff in the second half, but it's mostly, like, the relationship drama through, like, subtle jokes, and it's more dry. But, like, just the all-out nonsense of them driving a car through a bus and shooting up suspects and just, like, fully... what was the quote? It's like, caused $12 million worth of damage. Yeah, but we got $100,000 worth of drugs. Just like the absurdity of it all. It's just...
all the drugs, all the goons, all the sex we don't want to have with women, but we have to. And I'm just like, wait, what?
I just think it's like the perfect opening to this movie.
Yeah, for sure. And it helps that Ice-T with his smooth, cool voice is narrating all of this stuff, which...
It's just a fun opening. The rest of the movie, by no means, is horrible. I don't like it. So
yeah, that's totally fair.
The humor doesn't hit me. Like, if I'm going to watch Mark Wahlberg, I really like him in Daddy's Home. I think he's the funniest part of that movie. For the first one, because I think he just... By that point, he had perfected his comedy chops. It took him a little time, but after that, he was just like,
true.
Boom, now he's really funny. Like, he's the cool dad, he's doing all this. Like, his bits are effortless. In here, he's still trying a little bit, like, still funny at points. But he's definitely perfected his comedy chops by Daddy's Home. Daddy's Home 2, I didn't watch it.
See, Daddy's Home 2, what you were saying about Wahlberg being the funniest part, because nobody was expecting that, they doubled down on that. They brought in Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg's dads. Now, who would you cast as Mark Wahlberg's
Isn't it
father?
Jonathan Lithgow and Mel Gibson or something?
Yes. Mel Gibson is Wahlberg's dad. No real shock there. But John Lithgow
he's a funny dude.
He was hilarious in
Third
that.
Rock from the Sun, man.
I'm not the biggest fan of Third Rock, but he was good in it.
He was pretty funny. I mean...
But, like, when they're in the airport and... Lithgow and Ferrell kiss each other mouth to mouth, and Wahlberg has to look at Gibson and go, hey, they haven't seen each other for a long time, okay? It's been 3 weeks, but it feels like forever. It truly does.
Who's the person... Because if you watch the later seasons of Third Rock from the Sun, he starts to date the one person, and it's just like this strange, odd,
bizarre... He dates the professor.
Yeah, the professor, whatever her name is. My brain is blanking.
I can't remember her name right
I'm gonna look it up.
But I'm pretty sure...
Jane Curtin. Jane Curtin and him
God, that was Jane Curtin.
They have the best on-screen chemistry.
Oh
like,
my God.
They're at a party, and they don't know how to act, and so they just start dancing awkwardly as to the waltzing music as if it's disco. And it's so oddball but genius. It's genius, just great chemistry playing off each other. So Jonathan Lithgow is a funny dude.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, rewatching Shrek, it occurred to me that he wasn't actually in it as the villain that often, which is funny because
Which one was he? Was he number 3? Was he like the king or something? Or...
No, he was Farquaad in the beginning.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right.
Which, fun little fact, when you're 6 years old, if you have a 6-year-old kid, teach them to say Lord Farquaad as loud and over the top as possible. People will laugh. I know because my parents tricked me into doing that every fucking time. I was a Farquaad for following along with that.
But yeah, I like the other guys enough, but for me, the first 10 minutes is the most memorable part, and it's like the part I'm like, that's the movie I know. Like, if you mention the other guys, I don't think of Will Ferrell or I think of Samuel L. Jackson and The Rock.
Yeah, and you kind of wonder why they weren't in it longer. I mean, don't get me wrong, their exit was an eye-opener, because let's face it, when they say aim for the bushes, you just sit there and go, wait, what bushes? And then they fucking land on the ground and it cuts to their funeral with the bagpipes going off, and we're just like, what the fuck?
Did they jump in shame or because they thought they could do it?
And they're remembered as these badass heroes, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, they were badass.
Oh, yeah.
And kind of sort of heroes, even if they were doing it for all the wrong reasons.
Oh my goodness, it's a delightful opening scene. The rest of the movie, just to me, isn't that memorable because, again, I'm not a Will Ferrell fan, so.
No, that's totally fair.
He's totally hit and miss.
I've been Will Ferrelled out so many times. There is one movie of his that I've been meaning to check out for a while.
Stranger Than Fiction?
One that's along the same lines that not enough people know about.
Which one's that?
It's called Everything Must Go.
Oh, that is a great film. That's depressing, though.
For those who don't know, he plays an alcoholic salesman who, after an alleged incident during a business trip, not only is he fired from work, not only does he stick a Swiss Army knife given to him as a separation package in his boss's car that has his name engraved on it as a severance package. That's what I meant to say. His ex-wife not only locks him out of the house, but moves away anyways and leaves all of his stuff on the yard. So his AA sponsor, freaking Michael Pena, hell of an AA sponsor, gives him a permit for a yard sale sign for at least like a few days so that he can raise up some money.
Did he get a permit for a yard sale sign?
For a yard sale or something like that. I don't know how things work.
He has a yard sale and
it's relatively very sweet. Like Rebecca Hall in one of her first movies. Because up until The Town and last week with The Night House, I don't think I've seen her in that much stuff.
I mean, then she went on to do Mission... no, that's Ferguson.
That's Rebecca Ferguson.
I'm thinking of Ferguson, yeah.
The kid, Kenny, with the... who teaches him how to play baseball and stuff like that, has that one great line. How come you don't want to play soccer? Because Will Ferrell, kicking and screaming. Black people don't play soccer. Whole continents of black people play soccer.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Honestly, Everything Must Go is very well done. So.
Nice. That's my number 3 now, or?
Yeah, it's you. What do you got up? What's up?
Okay, this goes back a little while. I think I might have been in middle or high school. I can't remember. But I was looking forward to seeing Christina Aguilera in her feature film debut, Burlesque, which I don't know if that was completely original or was like half original songs, half a jukebox musical. I could never really figure that out. The only thing they were advertising was that Aguilera was making her debut, Cher was coming back after years of doing absolutely nothing, and Stanley Tucci was definitely going to be the best part of the movie, even though he's just ripping off his character from Devil Wears Prada. And unfortunately, Burlesque was campier than Rock of Ages, not in a good way.
Rock of Ages is fun, though. It's a fun movie.
That's what I mean. Like, it's not campy in a fun way. It's campy in a melodramatic, cheap way. It has a ridiculous love triangle between her and, I want to say Eric Dane? Yeah, Eric Dane, of course.
Just trying to figure out which songs are in this because I actually haven't seen this, so...
The direction and editing is so bad. It's a lot of handheld camera work and quick cut editing. Even when songs aren't playing, even when it's just a straightforward dialogue scene, they cut on almost Every line of dialogue, it is so amateurish. You can tell that it was done by a first-time director, and it makes a musical look ugly. And that's not something you want with a musical. You don't want it cut together like a music video. You want it to be cut together like a sweeping movie. I get that this is taking place in a crappy burlesque club.
Did McGee direct it?
What's that?
Did McGee direct it?
No, ironically enough. I don't know who it was. It was some actor who didn't even have that many gigs. But not gonna lie though, there are moments where once in a while I like to dial up what is basically Aguilera's defining character moment. She plays the naive, innocent dreamer that Julianne Hough did in Rock of Ages. And I think Julianne Hough is actually in Burlesque too.
I will figure that out.
I can't remember for sure. I think it's either her or Amanda Seyfried. But she wants to be known as the star of this crappy club, but Cher, the over-demanding and grumpy boss, just has her as like a backup performer until the main star is too shit-faced to even go up on stage one night. So reluctantly, she lets Aguilera up. The shit-faced star is so jealous that she sabotages the performance, but as Cher is closing down the curtains, Aguilera has that big freak-out moment where this is it. This is your chance to either go big or go home. And Aguilera does what we all want her to do. She starts belting the hell out of it. And as soon as she does, everyone's eyes are on her. Cher raises up the curtains, which is a clear sign for her that this is working. Keeps going. She starts singing a song called Tough Lover. That's not an original song, so that's kind of why I'm wondering if this is part jukebox.
I think it's part jukebox because there's some stuff written by Etta James and
yeah.
I think it's mostly even like the one song that people think is original that it's a big song.
Like Show Me How You're Burlesque, the finale song, which is also pretty decent too. That was original as far as
I think so. Yeah, it looks. One song is written by Sia.
That would make sense, because she was more of a songwriter before.
Yeah, but a lot of these... what's that one? What's the big single that came out of this?
I think it was Tough Lover, which is another Etta James song, and that's what I'm talking about.
I'm thinking of the other Christina Aguilera song then.
But in any case, because of her bravery, because of just how good she is, because... That's the thing, she's such a shy character, she doesn't really let anyone know how good a singer she is. But because everyone respects the hell out of her for taking that big of a chance, the backup performers add a little extra kick to it. The house band immediately understands where she's going and instantly starts playing to support her. And all of a sudden, the movie has this fast-paced, jazzy energy that you don't get very often from musical movies. Because before La La Land, and even after La La Land, honestly, all the music in modern-day musicals tends to sound the exact same. But this is old school 50s stuff with a little bit more of a modern sensibility, and that is Aguilera's strength as a performer, because she does mix in a lot of older genres with new.
What is that song from Moulin Rouge?
Lady Marmalade.
That is a cover.
Yes, and a fantastic one that does.
I prefer the original.
I gotta be honest, I don't. But it's just so great as a song. It's the defining moment for her where she realizes that now is your chance to like pursue your dreams. Don't let anyone get in your way, and most importantly, don't fall into the diva trap, because as soon as she's done, she's just as dumbstruck and a little bit naive as before, because even she couldn't believe that she just did that. And Cher just looks at her, you never told me you could sing like that. I tried to, I really did. And Tucci even has to step in and say, she's the one who raised the curtains back up. She wants to make this show about you. It's such a defining moment, and it goes to show that Aguilera is a more talented individual than we give her credit for. I don't know if she's actually done movies after this, but honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing her in stuff like this more often.
Well, she's definitely the cooler of the Gwen Stefanis of the world.
See, I don't mind Gwen Stefani, but Aguilera is just so much better just because of her range.
I think that Gwen Stefani was a 90s person, and then, yeah, everything else, like, after Sweet Escape, like, no one gave a shit anymore.
I mean, people still listen to Sweet Escape.
Yeah,
I know that from listening to work.
People aren't going to go all the way and say Foreigner's the best. Foreigner was the best when they had the hits in the 80s, where they want to know what love is in Jukebox Hero and Hot Blooded. Like, they're not like, Foreigner's good now, you know. Gwen Stefani was good back then.
Yeah, true. But I mean, the older stuff people still stick with as best as they can. And not gonna lie, I stick with Aguilera's older stuff more than this, but at the same time, like, if you want to compare to belting, she has never belted this hard than she has in this song. Like, I thought she was on fire in Ain't No Other Man, which is probably her best song. Either that or Candyman, because Candyman does have a ton of moments.
That's a cover, I think, too. I'm pretty sure that's an old
Was
song.
it? I don't know.
I think that's a 50s song. I will come in and drop another one. Matrix Reloaded. I don't think it's a very good movie.
I think there's only 2 scenes I can think of.
But there is one sequence that blows my actual mind, the highway sequence.
I thought you would say.
Yeah, no, the first Matrix, it's okay. It's alright. I think after, like, because I never really watched The Matrix growing up.
Me neither.
I didn't watch it probably till about 2008. Because then you're growing up, you're watching what you like, but I put on the first Matrix and thought, yeah, it's all right, you know. I think it's a little bit overrated. I think it's a little bit full of itself at point, but still.
Absolutely.
Regardless, it's Matrix2 Reloaded here comes along. This movie has so much story going on. And what did we want out of Matrix? Bullet time and fighting Mr. Smith. That's all we wanted out of the movie, but they gave us, like, the Keymaster and existential crises, but then they give us the twins. The twins are actually pretty cool characters. And they give us a giant, long highway chase. And the story goes is they built their own highway for it because they couldn't get the permit. So, and I thought that was pretty cool. And it's pretty awesome. They run around, they fight, people fall out of cars. It looks really good. The CG holds up. It's a really solid sequence. I like that sequence.
I can't believe they actually built their own highway for that.
I mean, if you had the money, wouldn't you?
It doesn't even well, yeah, but I mean, there's so many executives and producers in the world who just wouldn't because of their lazy asses and everything. I mean, everyone gives the actual fight between the Mr. Smiths and the alleyway a lot of crap because of the CGI that doesn't hold up.
Well, obviously the highway sequence is a mix of real cars with CG, and that's what makes it work. So and plus, the Mr. Smith fight obviously doesn't hold up. It's 2000 and what? 2003? 2003. And CG from that time period is, I mean, even going back, one buddy was mentioning that he was watching the first Ice Age, and he's like, man, that animation is dated.
Yeah, like the Ice Age movies, the only thing that gets better about them is the animation, weirdly enough. Not saying that's a huge accomplishment.
I mean, even going back and watching Hoodwinked, that's terrifying. Oh my goodness, it looks bad.
You should see what the second one looks like. They somehow managed to fuck it up even more.
That one came out after. How do you make it worse?
Well, for starters, you don't have enough budget to even hire half the actors back. I'm not kidding when I say this. They couldn't afford Anne Hathaway, so they replaced her with Hayden Panettiere as Red
How do you not afford Anne Hathaway? She's not even that big of a deal.
Here's a better question. How do you not hire Jim Belushi and replace him with someone more expensive, like Martin Short?
Jim Belushi is expensive.
And somehow too good for Hoodwink 2.
Was it James or Jim Belushi?
It's either one. And don't get me wrong, he was fine in the first one. I mean...
Who did he even play? He's a lumberjack?
Yeah, he was the woodsman.
Okay.
Which, that's the great thing about Jim Belushi as the woodsman. You wouldn't have guessed that it was him.
Mm-mm.
You wouldn't have guessed that it's the fucking According to Jim guy, but... Obviously, like, dude doesn't hold a candle to his brother. I'm pretty sure even he will. He'll tell you that any day. He'll tell you that he didn't even really know his own brother because there was a bigger age gap between them than we give it credit for.
Jim Belushi did do Red Heat. That's a pretty bad movie.
But yeah, the fact that they could somehow afford Patrick Warburton or Oscar nominee Glenn Close because she came back for some reason.
Maybe she wanted to do it for her grandkids or something.
Probably. But, like, Bill Hader and Amy Poehler didn't have kids, and they were somehow in that as Hansel and Gretel.
Huh. I mean, I like the pairing. Yeah, but jump back to The Matrix. It's a really cool sequence. You watch it, and you're like, wow. They put a lot of time and work, and that's pretty crazy. I wish that was the whole movie.
Yeah, if we're going by entertainment value, I kind of prefer the fight in the mansion where he stops all the bullets, and then they grab just about every weapon on the walls. Mostly just because of the amount of wire work that in my opinion, still holds up just because it really is Keanu.
Because it's practical.
And he's that committed. I know a lot of people say, well, with the sunglasses, you can't see him be afraid of anything. And he's just like, he's done this 1,000 times. He wouldn't be afraid of them anyways.
Is it just Keanu Fu now? Is that what he does?
Basically. I mean, I don't know if John Wick 4 is still coming out next year, but like they got fucking Donnie Yen. I'm already there.
He better be the villain. Because I want a big old fight. Or his allies so they can fight.
Here's a better
The point is they should fight.
Here's a better question. They got Keanu. They already got Fishburne. Where the fuck's Carrie Ann?
I don't know. Carrie Ann, I don't know.
I mean, you'd think that they would have hired her to be Perkins in the first one, but no.
I like Perkins. He does a really good job.
She was good, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, John. I thought I let myself in. I noticed.
Maybe she'll be on the Continental TV series. Who knows?
I mean, I wasn't excited for that show, but...
I don't know. It hasn't come out yet, so I can't say.
Have they even started working on it? I keep
feel
hearing
like
the
it's
weirdest...
I just want to see what happened to Carrie Ann Moss, because I haven't seen her since The Matrix.
Well, I haven't seen her since Jessica Jones ended, because when I started
Was she
watching
on Jessica Jones?
Yeah, she's the lawyer boss.
Oh.
She's cheating on the Deadwood lady with her secretary or something like that, which, boy, first scene where we saw her talk to her wife and then all of a sudden is making out with her secretary, that's,
Well, I mean...
we weren't supposed to like her anyways, but...
The last big thing she did was Pompeii and then Frankenstein.
Why did she... Oh, yeah, she was in the Bye Bye Man. I forgot about that.
Oh, and the Bye Bye Man. Matrix, I don't know if I want another Matrix movie. I really don't know.
Here's the interesting thing. I'm kind of wondering if that's about the afterlife, because Lawrence Fishburne wasn't asked to come back, and Trinity and Neo technically died in the third one.
That's true. Regardless, I like parts of Matrix Reloaded. This part specifically.
Oh, absolutely.
What else you got, man?
Okay, so at my number 2, this was one of the more predictable ones, because this is on every great scene from bad movies list, and I can honestly safely say that is a great example. It is the warehouse fight scene from Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Just type in
I know what you mean.
Just type in BVS on YouTube. Warehouse fight instantly is the number 1 selection, and for pretty good reason too. For those who haven't seen it, first of all, it's a good thing that you haven't. It's I mean, it's better than Man of Steel, mostly just because they're more entertaining.
You want a
moments.
Jolly Rancher?
Not
Watermelon.
Not that scene. Jesse Eisenberg sucked as Lex Luthor. I don't give a shit what anyone else says.
I do think that I like the smaller cast in that film. With less characters, it made it a little bit better, but
that's true.
It's a pretty sweet fight.
And Holly Hunter as the one politician, even though she's not in it that much, she actually does get some good scenes.
I don't ever want any grandma's peach tea.
Not that, honestly. But in any case, there's the part where we all saw coming that Batman and Superman were going to patch things together, because, really, when was this rivalry going to stick through more than one movie? It just never would have happened. But out of debt to Superman for not trusting him to begin with, Batman agrees to rescue Martha Kent from this one warehouse full of mercenaries who are not expecting Batman, because the whole plot of Lex Luthor was to blackmail Superman into killing Batman, because honestly, I can't even remember the specific reasons. Like, what a Gotham City hero is so bad about Metropolis. See how many problems there are with Batman v Superman?
I mean, my question is, why did you say that name?
What? Oh, right. But in any case, the mercenaries are not expecting Batman, but at the same time, because they're good at their jobs, they are prepared for somebody, seeing as how they have a full set of weapons and actually have a serious set of skills that make them formidable opponents against Batman, which is one of the reasons this fight has so much stakes. So many people are fighting him at once that he does get hit. He does get kicked in the face. He even does get pinned down once in a while, because 5 or 6 of them are launching an attack on him all the exact same time. He does get stabbed. He even gets shot multiple times, and the way they incorporate his body armor into it, I thought was absolutely perfect. There's that one moment where a guy shoots him point blank in the head, but he's got body armor and the cowl. I'm like, that is fucking genius. I can't believe no one else had ever thought of that before.
Ben Affleck's a good Batman.
And Ben Affleck is a great Batman because for how committed he is in the performance, and especially during this action scene, he fits the version of Batman that, for the most part, most of us grew up with, where he can give a certain glare at someone in order to strike fear into them without even having to talk. Someone who fights equally through strategy and through physical strength, and especially with stealth. Everyone's got their guns pointed at the front door. He literally comes in through the floorboards and disarms their guns before even fighting him. The martial art choreography was incredibly awesome. It has that equal balance from being acrobatic and exaggerated to an equal amount of gritty, bloody violence, because there are so many creative kind of sort of kills. They don't go too specific on that, where he takes his grappling gun, hooks it to a crate, and then just launches it straight into a guy and knocks him over, or uses the same gun, flips the guy upside down, and when another person takes the pin out of his grenade, kicks the upside down guy, knocks the other person's grenade out, and I'm just like, you are such a brilliant Batman. Zack Snyder films it for once in steady wide shots with a lot of fluid, longer takes that actually make the gritty impacts a lot more memorable. When he body slams a guy into the floor or just like slams him into a wall and the wall just shatters once they hit it, it's so over the top and in a comic book fashion, and the cinematography, like the rest of the movie, is designed to look like comic book panels in a good way. Like when he gets out of his plane, bursts through the window, you see his silhouette, and then all the glass just shatters as he's covered in the silhouette. It's iconic stuff. And even though, like most people have pointed out, the kills are completely unnecessary. I know most Batman have technically killed people. Like Michael Keaton did a couple. I swear, Christian Bale kills at least one person per movie in his trilogy. I think Kevin Conroy is literally the only Batman that hasn't killed someone when you think about it.
He's not that big of a deal if he kills someone accidentally. It's Batman, it's fine.
Or in self-defense anyways. It's just the fact that so many kills in BVS are done for very small and kind of pointless reasons. But when he does fire the bullet into KGB's flamethrower and protects Martha again through his body armor, that part felt justified, and it led into, in my opinion, the best comedy moment in the movie. It's okay. I'm a friend of your son's. I figured. The cape. Like, that's good stuff. I like that.
Batman v Superman has a lot of problems, but that is a good sequence.
Yeah, and to be fair, there are a couple other sequences like that, like the nightmare sequence on Apocalypse, where they have that long take.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just feel like Zack Snyder should do TV. He's got so many storylines. Imagine if he had, like, 22 seasons of an episode at an hour apiece. This man could tell all the stories.
That's true.
But in movies, he's trying to shove in 22 hours of television. I think he just wants the budget. The budget is bigger on movies as opposed to TV, obviously. So.
Yeah, and if I gotta be honest, I'd probably do the exact same thing. I would keep it a little bit more condensed, but he has that Tarantino thing where he wants to, and in some ways can actually stretch it out. Like, what do people like most about Zack Snyder? Interestingly enough, for the most part, his director's cuts. Because, I mean, people actually like the director's cut of Watchmen. People like the Ultimate Edition of BVS, myself included.
Sucker Punch is crap.
Yes, it is. I don't want a director's cut of Army of the Dead because I'm still trying to scrape that out of my
head. They're going to make more of them. You know that, right?
Well, there's that spin-off with the annoying German Jar Jar. Seriously, there's like a romantic comedy.
Misa no like the Zack Snyder.
There's a romantic comedy with him and Missandei from Game of Thrones.
Cool.
Which...
I don't care.
Missandei, make good movies. Stop doing Fast and Furious. Especially considering you don't do shit in Fast and Furious.
Who is that in Fast and Furious?
She's Ramsey, like in Furious.
Oh, Ramsey. Okay, yeah. I know Ramsey. Yeah.
The one that Tyrese and Luda keep hitting on, even though they really don't know shit about her.
Well, I mean, there's the same thing you find between the Zack Snyder film. You get two of the lower-ranking people that hits on somebody. Oh, do you think Wonder Woman will like you if you're dead? I don't know.
Which, look, I get that it was part of the material, but...
That's technically from the Joss Whedon cut. It's literally, they changed one line of dialogue. It's very similar to the Joss Whedon cut, and they were saying, Joss Whedon is bad and horrible, and then they left it in the movie, so I mean, whatever.
I haven't seen the Snyder Cut, and I don't have.
I watched it,
I don't
and
have.
then
I don't have 4 hours in my off days to.
some of
check
it's
it
better,
out.
some of it's worse. It just depends on what you're going for. I feel like they could have made a really good 2-hour cut and combined the two directors.
Look, I don't doubt that it's better than the Whedon Cut. The worst part about the Whedon Cut is that it just feels generic.
Yeah, but then Zack Snyder's is too stylized. There needs to be a fine balance.
But at the same time, like, it's great that a director got to do what he wanted.
And now, Snyder fans, listen to me. Be happy. You got your cut. Shut the fuck up.
Look,
Just be happy. Just be happy with what you got.
Look, I'm glad that directors get to express their opinions and have artistic control, and I'm fine with toxic backlash being a consequence of that, because honestly, it would have came either way.
You're never getting the Snyderverse. It's not happening.
He flat out said it wouldn't.
Listen to Zack Snyder.
Anyways, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is a particularly horrible, horrible film. So, Peter Sellers died in 79, I think. So, in 80, they put out Trail of the Pink Panther with unreleased footage and clips, and there's a lawsuit. So then they decided, hi, I'm Blake Edwards. It's 1983. Let's reboot it. Oh my goodness. Curse the Pink Panther. Oh, it's up there. There it is. I just want
Are
you
you
to...
fucking kidding me?
I want you to just look at this. We get discount...
Who the fuck even is that?
A guy. I call him Discount Rick Moranis.
Oh, shit!
So, this movie here, he is instructed to find the Pink Panther, and Dreyfus loses it again because he's like, oh, I don't want anyone to find him. So, the movie brings back every single character from the franchise. I'd like to put this in perspective and just describe to you the plot. So, he is a terrible, clumsy human being. What on earth is this dude's name? Ted Waz. He was on Cheers for a bit. So anyway, he is instructed to find Pink Panther. So he goes to see Professor Balls, gets a dog, a mechanical dog that explodes, then goes in and tries to do his very best Peter Sellers impression, which makes everybody angry. Somehow ends up in Mardi Gras with a giant head, has sex with a girl, and then has to go undercover in France. Now, goes undercover in France, he gets the information, he tracks Peter Sellers down to a health spa who has now had plastic surgery to look exactly like Roger Moore. But along the way, he has to interact with Cato, Bert Kowack, Sergeant Chevalier, Herbert Loam, literally every single character from the entire franchise. This is David Niven's last movie. This is sad. Very sad. David Niven's last film is looking like a guy and telling him he reminds him of Peter Sellers. It's not something you do.
Why did Capucine come back for this?
Everyone came back. Everybody.
Wait,
Everybody.
Even Claudia Cardinale.
Yes. Everybody. So what I know is there's one particular sequence in this film that is literally one of the most hilarious things I have ever seen.
Is that why genuinely funny sight gags, moments of
One
hilarity?
sight gag. There's this 3-minute sequence where he's sitting in a cafe. I'd like you to take a look at this picture. And he doesn't have a companion. So he gets a blow-up doll and puts it there at the cafe. And so he orders coffee and pretend, and he's trying to watch and track someone down. So he spills coffee on the blow-up doll. And the blow-up doll begins to run out of air. So you guess where he has to do and what he has to do to keep this blow-up doll from fading. And he's just like leaning down and doing this, and he's like trying to feed her coffee, and her face starts to melt a little bit because it's plastic and it's poorly constructed, and her hair blows off in the wind from a cyclist. And then eventually he just hooks her up to an air pump, and she just blows off into the wind. It's literally so good. But it's terrible. This is a bad movie. Why do I own this?
You ask yourself that about that DVD? I
Yeah.
mean, seriously.
I paid $5 for that.
He has 6 VHSs of fucking Spice World.
I had. We told you the story about that already.
Well, you told me. We haven't told that.
Oh, that'll be a story for another day.
Oh, well, fucking better be.
But yeah, there's one really genuine good moment, and the rest is garbage.
Scroll down at the cast. I gotta see if this is actually real.
This is real.
Look, David Niven I know is real.
David Niven, Robert Wagner, Capine,
Capucine, yeah.
yeah, there's a cameo from the Shot in the Dark girl in here, or whatever her name is.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And Roger Moore was in this film. He took a break from shooting A View to a Kill to come play Clouseau and get an ice bucket on his head. And say swine bucket. And then Dreyfus is trying to kill Ted Wass with a rocket launcher. Literally blowing him out of the sky. And it should be so funny, but it's hard to watch.
Harvey Korman was in these?
Yep. He's
Really?
Professor Balls. Oh, and Bill Nighy was in this too.
Oh, fucking hell.
This
not
movie-
that Bill Nye. People are just
a
gonna
British
sit-
dude.
Yeah, the Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean. That Bill Nye.
This movie should have been wonderful and a tribute, and instead it's special.
I feel like the other one that just recycled all of his worst bits was supposed to be a tribute. I mean,
if anything, at least, so they tried to literally redo Peter Sellers 3 times. So the 4th attempt, they got Roberto Benigni, who literally did his own shtick and his own jokes and his own gag. And
Yeah,
he's the son of Clouseau.
I know about the Son of the Pink Panther.
But when he did it, he was genuinely doing his comedy. So it worked a lot better than this. It still wasn't the best, and I still have mad respect for Son of the Pink Panther, but it reminds me a lot more of Peter Sellers' Party vibes.
Okay.
He just sort of gets to improvise and does his thing. But this is bad, and yeah.
I mean, Roberto Benigni is a talented guy when he's not scaring the shit out of us ruining
Pinocchio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Twice. First time he was Pinocchio, second time he was Geppetto. And from what I understand, people actually like the Geppetto version a little bit better.
He's done it a couple times. I like when he won the Oscar. He was just so happy. I mean, that's genuine joy.
That was insane. Like, when Sophia Loren announced his name for Best Foreign Language Film, that was interesting. When he somehow beat out Tom Hanks for Saving Private Ryan, of all things.
I don't know if I agree with that, but it's crazy.
I don't agree with that.
I haven't seen Life is Beautiful in a while. I didn't remember disliking it.
Well, it's not bad. I mean, shit, it'd be a crime to say it was bad, but...
So either way, this is a good sequence in a bad movie. It's like the worst movie I could possibly think of.
Damn.
That I own. I should clarify.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, what do you got in your number 1?
Drum roll. This is, again, probably... I keep saying this is one of the most predictable ones, but this is the iconic predictable choice, because even when I was 10 years old, I would put in the DVD and skip directly to this sequence. I would not watch the rest of the movie, because even at the age of 10, I knew this stuff was crap. Utter nonsense crap, because most of it was political jargon that obviously me as a kid I wouldn't understand, even though the director associates these as kids movies based on the sidekicks that he puts in his other stuff.
Idiocracy?
No. What?
You were talking about political comedy.
I put, political jargon mixed in with childish gross out humor. I know that sounds like Idiocracy, but I would always skip to the lightsaber duel between Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul. The duel of the fates from Phantom Menace. Because, I mean, really, if you want to talk great scenes in bad movies, that is a prime example in my opinion, and it's the one that's on every top of the list in regards to this category. One thing...
You can do Attack of the Clones with a fight in the arena, because that's a pretty dope scene.
That is a dope scene as well, but... You know, people tend to associate the prequel lightsaber fights more as style and not much substance to it. One thing most people can agree is that the fight choreography in the prequels was considerably technically better. It was more fluid. It was more energetic and acrobatic. It was what you would expect a Jedi Knight to fight, as opposed to the original trilogy where it wasn't how they fought that made it interesting. It was the emotional states that made it a hell of a lot more suspenseful, especially with Obi-Wan versus Vader or Luke versus Vader in Empire. With Return of the Jedi, it was a little bit better because they actually were swinging more than a few times, but at the same time, it looked like crap. It did look like a 7-year-old clashing swords with someone else, and once in a while, especially as an adult, it can get a little stupid. But
well, in Return of the Jedi, that was out of anger. He was tempting him. That
Especially-
works really well.
Yeah.
Because he's saying, turn your sister or this and join the Empire. He's mad. He's angry. He doesn't have time for skill. He
I'm kind
just
of
want to get
talking
it done.
I'm kind of talking like before that, when the Emperor tries tempting him into reaching for the lightsaber, and then he finally does. And you could argue it's the same thing, but he's also keeps saying, "I will not fight you. I feel the good in you, the conflict," but he's still swinging it around kind of ridiculous. And it doesn't help that David Prowse, who did the stunt work, as committed of a guy as he was, dude was not an expert hand-to-hand combat person. But yeah, prequel wise, it was so entertaining because of the style and the choreography. And a lot of people associate Duel of the Fates as more of a flashy fight scene and not much else. But there's this great interview from Dave Filoni, who was basically the mastermind behind the Clone Wars TV
Bad Batch,
shows. He did Bad Batch. He's worked on The Mandalorian once in a while. And he did a roundtable with some of the Mandalorian crew members like Jon Favreau, where he explains why it's called Duel of the Fates. It's more of a fate. It's more about dueling for the fate of Anakin, for the fate of Obi-Wan, for Qui-Gon, because when you get down to it, Qui-Gon is the person who should have been Anakin's master. He's the one Jedi who is not emotionally detached from everything in life and isn't just obsessed with the political aspects of it. The thing that everyone complained about with the Jedi Knights in the prequels is that they suck emotionally.
They die like punks. Oh, look, we're in a tiny room with the Emperor. He's bad. I should not use my lightsaber and die immediately.
We should not form any emotional relationships with anyone because it is just so
Oh
damn
no,
hard.
my clone troopers turned on me. Why are they shooting me in my spaceship? What should I do? Nothing.
But when you look at the conflict between
Plu-plu
Qui-Gon...
your crap.
When you look at the conflict between Qui-Gon and the Jedi Council, you can kind of get the sense that George Lucas actually wanted us to call out the Jedi Knights on this.
Well, he called out Yaddle. He didn't come back.
Yaddle should be forgotten forever. That thing was fucking ugly.
It's just
But-
another Yoda.
But in any case, Qui-Gon isn't just fighting Darth Maul because he's a Sith Lord. He's fighting because if he's not around to train Anakin, he's not going to be able to keep him from being tempted towards the dark side. And ultimately, he does fail because Darth Maul, who's designed to look like the devil with the horns and the red skin and everything like that, does succeed in his mission. But in the end, seeing as how Obi-Wan ends up killing him anyways before George made Filoni bring him back in Clone Wars, which was a great idea anyways, because Darth Maul wasn't really that useful as a character other than being a badass.
I like that he didn't speak. But let's
That
not
part was
forget
cool.
about pod racing. That is a very cool sequence.
Parts of it, yeah.
Pod racing. It's Saboba! Oh no, some Tusken Raiders have joined off the Health Ridge. And Jar Jar Binks going, my tongue is stuck.
That's
That's a great moment.
No, it's
That's
not.
a great moment.
No, it's not.
I will defend episode 1 till the death.
But seeing as how Obi-Wan ends up killing him and Sidious replaces him almost immediately with Qui-Gon's former master of all things, really goes to show how Maul was just used as a tool as opposed to being cared for as a person. And when you look at Obi-Wan's side of Duel of the Fates, there's that whole thing where the only reason he trains Anakin is out of the dying promise thing that Qui-Gon does at the very end, which, boy, don't you just hate those dying promise things like, honey, promise me you won't be with anyone else. Oh, somebody help me, he's about to die. Honey, I'm still talking to you. I said please don't be with anyone else. I love you, baby. Oh, fuck you.
Well, the credits will be fine.
Yeah, but when you look at the relationship between Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, the two of them have more of a brother dynamic, but Anakin needs a father-son dynamic in order to succeed as a Jedi Knight and be a mentally stable person so that he's not tempted to join the dark side. So
I mean, honestly, dark side and light side are pretty much the same thing. They just have different colored lightsabers.
I don't see it that way, but if that stuff wasn't there to begin with, it still would be awesome because Liam Neeson, Ewan McGregor, and Ray Park are so committed to their stunt work. You can tell they're the ones doing it because for all the things that make George Lucas a crappy storyteller, camera work is one of his best assets. He knows what a tripod is. The wide shots, the longer takes showing them actually clash with their lightsabers was awesome, especially when Obi-Wan faces Maul after Qui-Gon's been struck. Like that one shot where it's just them clashing swords for 20 seconds straight. That shot alone is one of the best shots in cinema, in my opinion.
I would also throw the General Grievous eye close-up with the lightsabers from Revenge of the Sith. That's a freaking sweet shot.
That is a sweet shot,
That's
too.
a good shot.
And we gotta mention John Williams' Duel of the Fates score.
Well, yeah, that's the reason you watch Star Wars.
It's iconic. Duel of the Fates might be like the best Star Wars music ever. Might be one of the best musical compositions that I've ever heard personally.
It is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, major highlight in an otherwise, I don't want to say dull, but
I love that movie.
look,
I love Episode 1.
I can't say it doesn't have its moments. I mean, look at what I'm talking about right now. But even as a kid, I didn't hate Jar Jar, but I didn't want to sit through his bullshit.
See, here's
all
the
way
thing
through.
people aren't getting. This movie without Jar Jar would be unwatchable.
No, it wouldn't.
Yeah, things would just happen, and no one would care. And you don't have that one character to point out the dumb, stupid, obvious. It's literally the Adam Sandler. He's a dumb dude in a movie pointing out things. He's Adam Sandler in every Adam Sandler movie.
That's the problem with Phantom Menace, though. Half the scenes, if not the majority of the scenes, are characters just repeating shit that happened in the previous scene that we already saw with our own eyes.
Yes.
I mean, have you ever heard of the Phantom Edit?
I have seen the Phantom Edit.
And can you see how big of an improvement that was?
Yeah, and E.T.'s still in it, so we're good.
Barely. Wait. Oh, right.
In the Senate, you see the E.T.s.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. I think the Phantom Menace has a lot to offer. I think there are boring slow parts, and I think the Senate doesn't quite work, but I think pod racing and the initial overall arc of finding Anakin, crashing on the planet, I think it works really well. I like the sequences where they're trying to get into the palace on Naboo. I like what the Trade Federation is doing. I think the opening's really strong with the Jedi running in. That's a crazy cool sequence where they're breaking down the door.
Yeah.
I love it. I unashamedly love Episode 1.
Look, those scenes are decent, but they're the more stylistic aspects of the movie, as opposed to the actual plot. And James Rolfe from Angry Video Game Nerd sums it up best. The opening crawl is about as exciting as a high school lecture, seeing as how the blockade is there for tax purposes. You know, really exciting Jedi stuff.
Well, that's what they did. They solved disputes.
I know, but
Alright. Well, I just defended the Phantom Menace, so let's get to my number one. Here we go.
your number one is an excellent choice.
So I unashamedly love this movie. I don't like the show. I don't care anything about the show.
The show?
My number one.
Oh, right.
There's a sequence in Dora the Explorer and the Lost City of Gold. See, I almost went with the Expendables, which was awesome, but then I was like...
That's a much better sequence, too.
I like this movie. So I like Isabelle Huppert. She was wonderful in Instant Family, which is
Isabella
delightful.
Moner. Isabella Huppert is the crazy French lady.
Either way, we have Boots in this one sequence.
Oh fuck.
And this sequence literally came out of nowhere.
Why is it even in there?
I don't know. So this movie is like Tiny Tomb Raider. That's what it is. And I like Tomb Raider. So this suits me. This is by no means an amazing film. But you got 4 teenagers, young kids or whatever. And like the opening of this film is dumb. You have Dora the Explorer who's lived in the jungle, who has no clue about social manners, like literally trying to fit into high school, which is delightful and awesome, but bad. Then they get shipped off to Mexico, and she like brought a knife or something. I don't know. I like when she's going through school and she has like a grenade in her backpack. Like, what do you need with this? And so they end up in the jungle, and they're trying to find the lost city of gold. And there's her parents are involved in there. It's a kidnapping plot. But at one point, she does a sort of Alice in Wonderland drug trip thing, and Boots speaks. And this may be possibly the greatest, unexpected, dumbest scene in the history.
Just tell him who plays Boots, man.
Danny Trejo looks at her and she's like, Dora, don't give up. And I just lost my mind. That's freaking Machete saying, this is the guy who doesn't tweet, but he's a freaking talking monkey when you do drugs. And her friends walk up to her after he does like this one line of dialogue. And they're like, are you okay? She's like, my monkey talks. And they're like, they say nothing. It's perfect. It's just so brilliantly dumb.
Feel free to mention what else the sage advice that he gives her.
Oh, I honestly just remember the monkey talking at this moment. I've been thinking about so many other things.
As if Oscar winner Benicio del Toro as fucking Swiper of all people.
Guarding the gate. Guarding the gate. Guarding the gate. I love this movie.
Hal Rudnick should have come back to play Swiper. I don't care what anyone else says.
Hello and welcome to the Screen Junkie Show.
You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
But my goodness, this sequence, like, the movie was like, it was like, you know, it was like just an adventure movie for kids, whatever, you know, they could enjoy it. But then this happened, and I'm like, yes. This is like, for me, the excitement watching this Dora the Explorer movie. I got it like the first Spy Kids in '99. Like, it just is thrilling to see a monkey talk and Danny Trejo's voice together. It's just like, what the heck is this? This is like the wrong movie. This is like a drug trip from Machete Kills Again in Space or whatever they're calling it if it ever comes out.
I doubt it.
I mean, I like the cast. I like the setting. The movie, I have watched this movie so many times. I went into this movie thinking, you know, I'll check it out. I'm bored. And I loved it. I saw it 3 times in theaters. But it is a bad movie.
You told me that this was a good one when you
It's
said
like a guilty pleasure.
It's a guilty pleasure. You did not say that.
But this one sequence does not fit with the rest of the film.
No, which is exactly why it's so fucking good. I mean, I tell you the truth. Like, when I say I haven't seen this, like, I haven't actually seen a clip other than the stupid trailer where they're stepping in farting quicksand, and that lost me.
Let me just see if I can find what he says here. See if I can pull quick.
Oh god. No, dude. I'll look it up when I get home. I got nothing else to look forward to other than that one movie that plays with the princess tonight. But
oh my goodness, I love this movie, but it's bad. Like, it's just it plays on all the tropes that you want it to do, but it's predictable until this moment, and then the movie just goes off the rails nuts.
Well, yeah, because, like, isn't this just kind of a Disney version of an Indiana Jones movie?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the way you describe Dora sounds a lot like Webby from the DuckTales reboot.
I have yet to watch the DuckTales reboot.
Okay, well, Webby is Kate Micucci, and I know you like her, so...
She's cool.
That's basically her doing the same shtick, except Huey, Dewey, and Louie are just trying to...
Yeah, this is one of the movies I went out and bought day one and pre-ordered on Blu-ray. Like, that was like, I had to have this thing.
Well, one of these days I will definitely click on the digital link you sent me.
I don't know, it just... the other one I had was Expendables 2, but, you know.
That airport fight was insanely well
This shoe is bigger than my car. You've been back enough. I'll be back.
Well, except for that.
Then I realized it was more fan service than anything, and I think I'll save it for top 10 fan service moments. Because it's sort of like when Captain America picks up the hammer thing. That's a fan service moment. That's not necessarily...
That was still kind of foreshadowed a little bit in Age of Ultron. Not on purpose, obviously.
But yeah, there are fan service moments, and then there's like genuine scenes that you just didn't see coming.
I guess.
So, I was going to say that for another list, so...
Fair enough.
Yeah, I did want to put American in Paris on here, because that's a boring movie. I don't know if you've seen that one. But there's one really good song, and then the rest is like really slow 50s musical nonsense.
Isn't there like a 20-minute musical number or something?
Yes,
like that?
there is.
Because I've heard lots of good stuff about that particular moment.
It's just like, it's 3 hours long, so getting through it, there's a lot better uses of 3 hours you can watch in film. But when they sing, I got rhythm, who could ask for anything more? It's a really cute sequence, and it's the highlight of the film for sure. Gene Kelly has a lot better movies, so. Obviously, Singing in the Rain, or It's Always Fair Weather, or anything like that. Or On the Town, Anchors Away, etc., etc. But yeah, that's my number one. Yes, I just defended the Phantom Menace and went into a Dora the Explorer rant.
Oh, whatever.
Tyler, it's time for you to plug your things. What's going on?
That is never gonna get old. I'll give you that one. But
Sure.
I have my most recent review up for the underrated horror movie The Night House.
Oh, I
Definitely check
really
that out.
wanted to see that. I watched like the first 30 seconds and said, I'm not going to watch anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? That is the smartest thing that we did, not looking any of that shit up, because it just hits you a lot more.
All I
Not
saw
really
was that there was a house next door and everything was in reverse. I said, done, I'm in. That's all I know.
See, that I didn't even know, and I'm glad I didn't going into it. But yeah, definitely feel free to check that out. I will have a review soon before I go to Toronto of a documentary called The Truffle Hunters.
Oh, yeah, that one. That one's weird.
I know.
But fun. It's a fun one.
Absolutely. I might have a review up for an experimental movie called Gundam, assuming there's that much to cover, but judging by your expression, sounds like I'm in for a treat tonight.
Yeah. I sat there and watched the first 40 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And I thought, why? That was my entire initial thought. Without any spoilers, it is exactly what you think it is.
That doesn't help in the slightest, but
There's no narrator. There's no dialogue.
I'm fine with that.
It's literally just a pig. But the thing is, the director keeps using long shots on everything. Like 3 or 4 minute long shots of what's happening in the frame.
Someone tells me I'll find something to get out of that.
And I'm just like, what the heck is this? That's my thought process.
See, there's a movie of a similar vein that I tried out called Samsara, which is from the guy who made, like, Baraka.
Yeah, but at least they have interesting visuals and it moves and it's not just completely still. That is a moving film.
I don't know.
It's more like watching cool imagery go by. This is a pig. That's it. That's the movie.
Last I checked, there were a couple other animals.
Oh, there's cows and chickens in there somewhere too, I think.
Which, look, just sitting there observing animals like you would at a petting zoo or on a farm, just because I'm going to go out on a limb and say there are people who experience that exact same type of shot format on a daily basis. We're obviously not those people, but
Yeah.
just hopefully I enjoy observing nature in such a still but I want to say well-framed and well-shot way.
Yeah, it's well framed.
Okay.
But
Like,
it's very
it's-
experimental for sure.
Which hopefully I can get a kick out of, but I'm willing to bet I'm going to enjoy Truffle Hunters more.
Truffle Hunters is cool and weird.
Weirdly enough, I work in the food industry and I've never seen a truffle up close ever.
Well, truffles don't grow in North America. You can't get them around here. You got to go to Europe and such.
And then where was Nicolas Cage living in Pig? Like Vermont or something?
I think it was down in South America or something.
Yeah, but everybody was American.
Well, I just know that they're not in Canada, so.
But in any case, feel free to check out my review of The Night House, as well as a very confusing review of 9 Days, because I still don't really know whether I liked it or not.
The best review I heard of Gundam was, it was relaxing. The best review I heard of 9 Days was, it's shallow deep.
There's that about it. But yeah, hit the links in the description below. And yeah, I wish I could have more to say, but it's one of those days where we're just happy to record anything.
We ate too much food.
We ate too much food. We've spent so much time away from each other. It's insane.
Anyway, that's it for the Josh and Tyler show. Tyler, you know what time it is. Say something awesome.
The Phantom Edit fixes everything wrong with the Phantom Menace.
That's fair.